Hello, everybody. It's Tom from the Ketogenic Fasting Project and Autistic Carnivores. And I'd like to thank everybody for watching the video. Today I'm talking about meat and meat quality. It's a big topic, of course, for carnivores. You know, obviously not every cut of meat is equal, but just how important is it? How crucial is it to anybody's success on a new diet? I like to say that there's no brownie points for being a purist. There's only results. So, sure, a lot of carnivores eat other things than meat on a carnivore diet. I think in general, you gotta sort of know why you're on the diet. What's your point? What's your interest in it? For a lot of people, it's autoimmune diseases or lower bowel diseases like Crohn's disease or diverticulitis and IBS and stuff like that. So, what you might incorporate and what type of meats you might eat or what other foods you might eliminate kind of depends on your goals. So, might be, maybe you're an athlete and you want to enhance your performance, or maybe you just want to lose weight. All those can kind of take you down a different rabbit hole. But I think in general, the biggest question is, do you have to eat grass-fed beef? And can you eat pork and chicken? And how much fish should you eat? And so on and so forth. I like to think that all those are choices that need to be individualized. Everything from your genetics to your goals to your budget, all those things play into it. So, grass-fed beef might be superior in a lot of ways, but we don't exactly know how much difference it makes. So the vitamin profile on grass-fed, grass-finished beef tends to be better in omega-3 fatty acids, and there's more keratin in it. In fact, you'll typically notice on grass-fed and grass-finished beef that the fat's a little yellower, a little more orangey from the elevated keratin levels from the grass. And when cows are finished on grain, their fat tends to be a little bit whiter in color. But that's just kind of a rule of thumb. And I think in general, people will just kind of gravitate towards grain finished or grass finished based on their preference and taste and how they feel and what they can afford. So I think everybody's just trying to avoid preservatives and hormones and antibiotics and stuff like that, because I don't think any of us expect any of that to be healthy for us. But meat is real food, and we live in a world full of fake foods. There's more fake foods coming out. There's fake foods that look like meat. I don't, what if you like meat so much, why don't you just eat meat? I mean, I understand we live in a world that's been biased against meat. And I understand there's people who are vegan because they want to fight cruelty against animals. I understand that, and that's their choice. But I personally believe that meat is the natural food of human beings. It's what we evolved to eat. It's what we've been eating for the last 2 million years. And when you look at the evidence, there isn't any evidence that we ate any plants up until 30 or 40,000 years ago, and we ate very little plant. So, as much as killing an animal to have food is distasteful to some people, it's not the same thing as murder. And I know they like to describe it in all kinds of ways to make it more repulsive, but in the end, there's nothing more natural than eating meat, and there is no food without death. So, for the rest of us who are going to eat meat, what kind of meat should we eat? Well, it would seem that human beings and the ancestors or the progenitors of human beings followed around big fatty ruminants and ate them. And when they became scarce, then we focused on faster, leaner animals. Then we wind up having to crack open their bones and their brains and everything and eat them as well in order to get enough fat. So in general, fatty herbivores are probably the best to eat, and also fish. Most of mankind tended to live near water. They didn't always have to. If they lived somewhere where there was ice and snow and stuff like that, then they didn't necessarily need to live near fresh water. But we probably ate plenty of fish, whatever fish we could get our hands on, whatever was in the tide pool that was edible, so we probably ate that as well. And fatty fish tend to be rich in things like omega-3 fatty acids. So, from a guessing standpoint, if you can get a balanced diet with sort of equal amounts of omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, that's probably ideal, but we don't really know yet. What we do know is a lot of people have negative reactions to grains and other sugar-rich carbohydrates, or in a way all carbohydrates are made out of sugars, but of course we don't really digest fiber. And fiber is I know I grew up hearing the message all the time that we need to eat fiber, but I don't eat fiber anymore, and I'm fine. So, and that's what a lot of people find out on a carnivore diet, that you don't need to eat plants to be healthy. In fact, a lot of us get healthier when we stop eating plants. And of course, if you look back through the science, you find out that none of the plant foods in the supermarket right now were available to human beings through their development. So almost all those plants are new plants that have been reconfigured by mankind and turned into crops. So while as human beings wandered around the planet, there really wasn't any sort of consistent plant material. And of course, fruits were only available in certain areas at certain times of the year, and fructose in general tends to be obesogenic. So when you start filling the food supply with fake foods full of high fructose corn syrup and soybean oil and canola oil and stuff like that, it's no wonder that people suffer from metabolic derangement. So eating meat, even lower grade meat, just hamburger patties, seems to be healthier for a lot of people. And you hear doctors like Dr. Fung, who's treated a lot of patients over the years. So a lot of their patients, that's all they really eat. They go into fast food restaurants and order hamburger patties. And in some cases, you hear about people eating a lot of hot dogs and stuff like that, which we typically consider a hot dog to be kind of a junk food and at the lower end of the spectrum as far as meat quality. But it's probably a lot healthier for some people than eating any sort of bread or potatoes or French fries and fried in vegetable oils, because almost all what we call vegetable oils, or which are probably correctly classified as seed oils, seem to be very much anti-healthy. A lot of the plants in general just have what we call anti-nutrients in them. Plants have a lot of compounds in them that they use to deter predators or to outright poison predators. So it's not a real surprise when you find out about lectins and oxalates and stuff like that plants aren't necessarily the ideal food for everybody. So shifting to a meat heavy or an all meat diet does wonders for people who have been suffering from the consumption of plant materials for a long time unknowingly. I couldn't say you're just going to eat any old garbage piece of lunch meat or something and it's going to cure you or anything like that, but eating less expensive cuts of meat isn't necessarily going to be any less healthy or any less fruitful than trying to eat French fries and drink soda and packaged foods and stuff that's full of the unnatural things like soybean oil and all sorts of processed grains and stuff like that. So I think it's Dr. Finney talks about, people going on a low carb diet and they should carry around those little bouillon cubes, and a lot of those bouillon cubes have things like MSG or glutamate in them, which some people have a reaction to, but still plenty of people use that to keep their sodium levels up just by mixing up a little instant broth, and they do just fine. Just like some people just eat hamburger patties and hot dogs and do much better than they ever did before. They lose a lot of weight, they get rid of their type 2 diabetes, their inflammation goes down, and so on and so on. and of course, if you're gonna buy a packaged food like a hot dog or something, you could read the label. Some of them do have soybean in them. Some of them do have sugar added, and some don't. Some are, you could get uncured hot dogs now that don't have nitrites in them, and stuff like that. So, anyways, I say people should eat what they can afford, eat the best they can afford, eat the freshest foods they can afford, because people who eat fresh meat don't get weird, obscure diseases like scurvy. So, anyways, don't be afraid to leverage protein. The low carb world, the ketogenic world was really heavy on fat. Everybody was afraid of gluconeogenesis and all that, and now we're finding out that most of gluconeogenesis is typically driven by demand. My personal theory is that when people first shift from a high carbohydrate diet to a low carb diet, particularly a ketogenic diet, they might be a little more susceptible to gluconeogenesis just because their body's used to more glucose. And when your glucose levels suddenly drop off and you eat a little extra protein, maybe your body does produce a little extra glucose because that's what it's used to. But it seems like people have been on a carnivore diet or been on a ketogenic for a long time. They typically don't have any, or if they have a very small response to extra protein. So, anyways, don't be afraid to give it a try. If you can, use a glucometer, measure your glucose response to everything you eat. It takes very little effort to learn, and the real power in any one of these diets is individualizing it so it works for you, so that it's successful, so that you can recover your health or maintain your health, or improve your health, or improve your athletic performance, improve your mood, reduce the inflammation, improve your autoimmune diseases, improve your symptoms. So, anyways, I just wanted to talk about that. And the higher quality meats are becoming more and more available. There's more grass-fed beef out there. There's more smaller ranchers that are offering their food direct now. Not everything has to go through a big corporation anymore. You can order stuff online. Some of the markets are starting to carry higher quality stuff. So keep your eyes out. Maybe look for some of that wild caught salmon. Don't be afraid to eat a sardine. And try and find the foods you enjoy. That makes it much easier and makes you feel better. So anyways, thanks again for watching. Please subscribe. Please pass the links around to the videos. Please give it a thumbs up. Leave your comments. Let me know how I can do better videos. And until next time, feel better.